Okay, so we've got all these agents now. Everything's AI. Why are we still writing CSS? What do we do going forward? Because CSS is so cheap. Like, we can just spin up whatever we want and just ask AI to make it. And Rajan stole my joke. Make no mistakes. It's a really good one. Yeah, it's a really good one. We basically just tell AI to do everything for us. And it's really good at CSS. I mean, it screws up a lot of things consistently, but if you run it in a loop, it'll eventually figure it out. You might burn down 20 rainforests, but you'll eventually get it working. So maybe I should have not written one prompt. Although this is AI generated, so I take zero legal accountability. So essentially, CSS is really cheap, but coherence isn't. So we'll spin up all these agents, we'll fill up our context window, then we'll spin up another agent, put in another business requirement, and things will start looking really inconsistent. Like, who here has had a really easy time spinning something up, new project, but put your hand down if you've kept going with the project and it hasn't really, it kind of hits a wall after a little while. So the style sheet is, I mean, it's not really, kind of like the browser's a system, and there's sort of some sort of, like, you can have CSS variables, so you can have all sorts to kind of keep it in line, but it's not really like a design system where you have, like, these are the colors I want to use, this is the brand feel that I want. Do I want like a fun, whimsical sort of brand, or do I want it more sort of firm and modern and not as fun, more serious? So these sort of things, if you've ever done more design sort of work or worked off designs, you'll know there's design systems, there's tokens, Dogecoin there, token. So we've got these we've got these sort of primitives that store that sense of, like, what do we want the colors to be, what do we want the fonts to be. So I've had this at my previous jobs. We basically got all the design programmatically in our sort of system, and that makes AI easier because you can just point AI to the design system and just say, do that. I want these colors, I want those fonts. And these constraints are really good compared to prompts. Make it modern, you know, it'll, I mean, it might be good for spinning up some, like, to-do app or something, but once you get to, like, enterprise level stuff and you're building lots of code, a constraint is better. So having that design system is really powerful. And what did I write there? Not everything is fixed with more CSS. So you keep adding styles on top of each other, they'll start conflicting. Maybe in your agents MD, right, do not use important. That's probably a good one to throw in there. Hopefully it already has that in its training data, but I'm quite pessimistic. I think it's trained on quite a bit of bad CSS. So should we use, like, frameworks still? Should we use Tailwind, Vanilla, Chakra? What should we actually author our CSS in? Like, now that we have AI, should we just write vanilla CSS? Like, do we even need frameworks anymore? Like, because, I mean, one of the issues, especially with, like, separation of concerns in CSS, like, do I put all my styles in my HTML basically, or, like, with all my React components? Do I just put it all in one component file? Or do I have all my markup and then my styles separate? I'd say AI doesn't really change that sort of paradigm too much. I'd say still stick with the frameworks, especially because most of the training data is on, like, Tailwind and Bootstrap. Like, a lot of websites out there use frameworks, and so I'd say AI is pretty good at that. And when it comes to vanilla CSS, it's also good, but I don't think it's trained too well on creating all those class names and maintaining that structure. Maybe you could prompt it to use BEM or some sort of other methodology that we've used as humans, because that's what it's trained on. But I would say this isn't actually too impacted by AI, but it's really easy to use a constrained system and basically prompt some new feature, you know, product wants some new button, it's really easy to create that, but it's really hard to maintain, like, say, management say, oh, we want all these AI-generated buttons across the entire code base a new color. Well, if you start off with that constraint, it's much easier. It'd be really hard to change that sort of thing that's all AI-generated. So keep like a design system, have systems in place, and maybe use some sort of library that links CSS and make sure that you're using the proper standards. And it's also much cheaper to use like a deterministic solution, like a linter and test and that sort of thing, rather than ask AI, does it align with the design system? It's just going to make something up. It's not going to actually check it. So have deterministic checks in place, and you can even write those with AI, but just have that, that framework in place. So modern CSS is also really good now. Like Rajan pointed out, there's lots of new features. We're getting all these new, custom properties are pretty old now. This is AI generated again, so, but yeah, like we've got all sorts of new things, anchor positioning, popover, tons and tons of new stuff. And I think with AI, we'll actually get more because it's now cheaper for browser developers to add stuff as well. So modern CSS is really good, but we're not really going to be touching it directly that much. Like basically all these agents are going to be able to read the web, look at all the new features, utilize them. But what's going to become really powerful is either you can lean into knowing a little about a lot of features and knowing how to prompt an agent to use that, because it might just go and find some 200 megabyte library and load it into your website when there's like a native thing in the browser that you could polyfill dynamically. And if you just prompted it that and knew about that, knew that it existed, you could just use that, which AI probably wouldn't know because it's based on all this training data, all these biases towards how things were. It's getting better and that might change, but I'd say lean into knowing a little bit about a lot and being able to prompt an agent with that. Or you can also lean into being like an artisan CSS developer. It's kind of like we've still got people that know machine code. Most of us all write source code, but there's a few people that know machine code just in case you need it. You've got to get really precise and performant down to the bare metal. I reckon CSS, we're going to have maybe some people in this room, I reckon. The people that come on a Tuesday night to a CSS meetup. We might have some artisans in here. But yeah, those are the two sort of directions I see people leaning. There's not going to be many in the middle that know a medium amount of CSS, say. You're going to either know a little bit and be able to prompt really well, or you're going to be a pure artisan. This ties into being an artisan. So you can prompt AI to fix the mistake, but something I've found recently, like I've been developing all sorts of side projects, and it's really slow at like screenshotting stuff and figuring out bugs. Sometimes, most of the time, it won't figure out the bug. You have to tell it, hey, this is broken, fix it. Make no mistakes. But it keeps making mistakes. So the way I see this turning out is it will get better at that. It does take a lot of compute and resources to render a page, screenshot it, run it through an agentic loop again. So we're really going to need some artisans still that fix those really complicated bugs, z-index and other things. But I reckon AI will get better at screenshotting and doing that whole iteration loop. But yeah, that's definitely an interesting space to look into because CSS is one of those weird technologies as opposed to, well, HTML sort of fails somewhat gracefully. Like if you mistype button, of course your linter should tell you, like your code editor should be like red squigglies everywhere, you misspelled button. But if you just pass it into the browser, it won't render a button, but if you wrote text inside the element, it'll render the text. Like it fails gracefully, it doesn't give you an error. JavaScript will just throw an error and not work at all. And that's easy to pick up on. But CSS, it kind of just silently fails. It's like, something's wrong, but I'm not going to tell you what's wrong. We all know too much about that. So AI also loves boring UI. So the training data is like, I mean, the web in general, would you say, is it nice? Is it pretty? The general web? I mean, it sort of does the job. I mean, like, you can say all the nice, colourful colours of the rainbow are pretty, but if you merge them all together, you kind of get like a brown, grey, you know, like, so training data, AI is going to bias towards like the most boring, generic slop. Everyone loves the term slop nowadays, and that's pretty much what you get. You can prompt your way out of it a little bit. You can give it your own previous work to build upon, like I did with these slides. I still had to babysit it. But AI is not going to pick creativity. That's us in the room. We're going to have to prompt it. We're going to have to add things in after the fact. We're going to have to steer it quite a bit still. So that's definitely a huge space right now, is to look into how can I keep things nice and pretty on the web without giving into the whole idea of slop. And Phil, I think, might be talking about... I shouldn't give away too much. Not too much. So AI, it'll create like tons of cards, tons of slop. So keep it creative. We don't want to give into the Borg. We don't want to assimilate into the training data. And also like micro interactions. We love those on the web. Like you click a button, you get. I really liked Rajan's confetti. I like those sort of things on the web. Like you want nice, beautiful interactions. Someone needs to realize, hey, this website is special. You know. Like our melbcss website, we've got all the themes, it's nice and special. It's not just some bootstrap template, right? So AI is okay at this if you prompt it, if you tell it to do the micro interactions. Usually it won't. I think the most I've seen it do is like you click on something and it sort of like moves a little bit or like indents, like you know you've clicked on it. That's kind of like the basic stuff. Like I don't think I've had it create any nice, joyful interactions on its own. You have to prompt it. So don't forget to add that into your prompt. And also, we'll be doing less typing and we'll be doing more judging. So we won't be coding CSS like artisans, most of us. Some of us will. We'll more be judging the AI's output based on our very broad knowledge of what we can add, what micro interactions we want, all that sort of stuff. And all of us in the room that are, I mean, I think most of us are pretty good at CSS. We're here on a Tuesday night. But hopefully if you're not, you want to be, you're inspired after tonight. But definitely people good at CSS will be multipliers. Like AI allows us to do much more. Same with all the other fields. If you know your field, AI can give you superpowers. Don't feel like you're being replaced. A bunch of silicon isn't going to do what you do for quite a while. I think AGI is quite a fair way off. So yeah, the future I think is bright at least. So AI, it won't kill CSS. It'll magnify it. It'll change things. We'll be leaning into design systems more. We want to make more sort of checks and balances deterministic, so we can quickly check the AI's output, run it in a loop again, get it to keep iterating for us, and just leave it on overnight as we research new CSS features we can prompt it with. I've set up this new site if you want to add me on there instead of LinkedIn. If you've got me on LinkedIn, please also add me on here. That's what I've been building recently. I prepared this talk very last minute, very rushed, very agentically. Oh yes, Rajan helped me out. He gave me a Gemini subscription, which was not useful at all, but I appreciate it. And I'm going to definitely use it more. Yeah, it's really bad at Google Slides. Yeah. Thank you.